You also champion a 4-day work week, right?
Yep.
So talk about that.
So what I've realized is that we have a big problem in the typical workplace, which is that most of corporate America, at least what I've seen, is that everyone is perpetually exhausted. And so they're working 5 days a week. They're in a bunch of monotonous meetings. They're doing work they're not even sure is important. They have to catch up on work on the weekends while they take care of their families, and no one can ever catch up. And so 4-day work week is tied in with a few concepts, but the underpinning is that I've tried to figure out in my companies is how to eliminate what I call work theater. And this is a phrase that most of the things I talk about I've used from others. This is a phrase that I coined, work theater. Most of the work that people do doesn't matter. I'd say 90% is work theater, meaning it's work that just looks good, but doesn't actually accomplish anything. Right? And so people are working so much, they're so exhausted, and they're getting nothing done for the company because they're consumed with red tape and bureaucracy. And so what I found is by shortening the work week and say, no, you don't have 5 days to get everything done. You've got 4 days to get everything done. You can't schedule meetings Friday through Sunday. You need to expect people are going to be off. In these 4 days, you're going to be present, focused. This I took from Twitter, is not mine. It's called work like a lion, not like a cow. Right? I want my team to come in and work like lions for 4 days, as much as they can. And then I want them to go relax, be with their family, be with their friends, enjoy life, heal, so that they can come and work like lions. I think as human beings, we're supposed to go hunt, and then we're supposed to go relax. We spend too much time in this middle ground. So to me, I found much more productivity when we have these intense spurts of hunting, and then people have their own lives.
So all your employees work for 4 days.
Yes and no. Uh, we try to adhere to it with love. With Bolt, it's been experiments. So Bolt has it rolled out, but Bolt is later stage. Could maybe afford to do it a little bit more love. We're trying to do it, but we still end up working a lot of Fridays. So I can't say fully that we're doing it with love right now, but we're trying. We're being mindful of it and
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 you
trying.
you champion remote work, right?
Yeah, all my companies are 100% remote. I never want to go back to an office again. And that's just a personal choice that I made. And now they're hubs. So some folks, there's a cluster in San Francisco or a cluster in New York or a cluster in LA, and they meet up. They may have shared workspaces. So there's certain clusters that like to come together into my various companies and work. A Prism, another one of my companies, has a bona fide office, but they have a pretty kind of hardcore sales culture and it fits them. So, I do. One of my companies does have a bona fide office, but it's not something that I'm married to at all, and I typically prefer remote.
So you got Bolt has 800 employees.
No, Bolt has gone down by quite a bit. We've just realized that with our narrow focus on going after the world's largest customers,
Mhm.
we didn't need as many people and many headcounts. So we actually completely removed our focus on SMB, just small to medium sized
Mhm.
businesses, to focus on big accounts. So we brought the company now, it's below 200.
200. And how many you add Love,
About 15.
right? And so you have that, but you also have the nonprofit work,
Yes.
and I know that's very important to you. Talk about that.
Um, I believe that spiritually we're supposed to give at least 10%, if not 20% of what you make back. This is my fundamental belief. I believe if you don't do that, uh, you're hurting yourself because you're creating karma. And so selfishly, I want to stay healthy. I want to stay safe. I want my businesses to be successful. So, um, so I try to give back as much as I can because I know spiritually you have to. It's not. A lot of people say, "Oh, we're gonna wait until later in life." That's a prudent thing to do. I don't believe in that at all. I think you have to always be giving back to the community. It has to become a muscle
Mm.
that becomes ingrained in you. So, um, I have a few different impact related initiatives. Um, my my most prominent nonprofit is called The Movement. So dance has completely changed my life. It was a healthy outlet uh, for me that got me through many tough times in a very healthy way. And so I realized that dancing is one of the most scalable ways to spread happiness and mental health. Because all you need is a floor and a speaker. So if you're going to try to solve a mental health crisis at a homeless shelter, refugee camp, it's very difficult. You have to hire, if you're going to have to hire psychiatrists, it's one on one, or hundreds of dollars per hour. Other methodologies are not very scalable, very expensive. Dance, you need a floor and a speaker. And so we we did some work with some homeless shelters, some disabled centers, after school programs. And then we realized that we can go do refugee camps where there's hundreds of thousands of people who are suffering. So we picked one of the largest in Africa called Bidi Bidi and 250,000 refugees in Uganda. They have a massive suicide crisis, a massive mental health crisis. I think it's something like 30 or 40% of the residents that say are depressed. Is like a 10% annual suicide rate. Don't quote me on that, but I mean, it's those proportions. And a lot of the folks there have nothing to live for, and so the goal is to give them something to live for that that we could afford. So we partnered with another nonprofit who created this stage, this like performance stage, and we do the programming, dance programming, and we have people coming say this is what they now live for. This has changed their life. They didn't take their life because of this. I mean, it's flourishing, and we did almost nothing. We created some curriculum. We trained some people on the ground. We're not fishing for them. We don't hire people to go out and teach. There's thousands of incredible dancers already as refugees.
Mm.
So we just put a little program together and they've taken the ball and they run with it. Now we go back every 6 months, check in, help give them advice on how to manage the program. So now I want to scale this to shelters, homeless, refugee, schools. This is my biggest passion for charity.